We are nearing the end of Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. We are coming closer and closer to an epic face-off with the Garlic Bread Empire, and we recently had to fight a wind god only to have the final boss truly revealed. And the stakes couldn't be higher. Final Fantasy XIV has given us an intense story to play through, and it only continues to heat up now. Before we can take down the big bad, however, we need to rescue our friends, and more importantly, Papameow. Let's get into it. As a note, this will cover some of the major story climaxes for Final Fantasy XIV, and as such, I will say, there is a spoiler warning here. So we pick up our journey back in Korthos because we are casing the Castrum where our lost team of superstars has been last seen. The whole reunited crew stands here, and this pointy ears general is just, well, generally displeased. He confirms that the scions we are after are in fact inside the castle, but more pressingly, they spotted an airship that went down not too terribly far away from here, and they confirmed a Rodigan and a Lalafell fled the crash. One was quite big, and the other was mistaken for a door wedge. This gives us something to go on. We get this cutscene where the evil Darth Vader tribute band are approaching their Ultima weapon, which, if you forgot, slurped up the primals like they were a $5 bowl of noodles. They all make plans to defend themselves and prepare for our counterattack because they know that the stash is about to show up. Gaius finally also makes his move on Livia, now that everyone's out of the way. We talk to a few guards out in the snow to find out where Biggs and Wedge ran off to, and he suggests that we look for footprints in the snow. Like, really? Come on, y'all. How long has it been since this airship went down? And you want me to hunt for a Lalafell in the snow? At least make it a little bit more interesting. Also, by the way, I think this is really, really important to point out. We already know whose footprints these are. Look how tiny they are. You know Wedge was here. It turns out that Wedge was pretending to be a troll under the bridge, and he does his red panda impression when they get scared. So then we skedoodle off over to this tower. Wedge tells us to go look for Biggs inside a giant ice fall cave, but really all we end up running into is a cold welcome. Wink. We head back to talk to this guard who gives us some more information of where to go, and we test gravity with terrible affect. Literally shatters my knees. How is he not dead? We come up to the British cat lady in reverse pants who seem to have found our giant fist friend. Reverse Pants starts dancing to the same tune that Biggs is, and then one of the garlic soldiers starts vibing to the same tune. Literally everyone's just dancing. It turned into a dance face-off. What we thought was just a couple of soldiers to handle, turns out that there's like 5 mechs that were like hiding under the snow. They all appear out of nowhere. Like, where the hell are these guys spawning from? Biggs is super duper out of breath, while Reverse Pants and Y'shtola didn't even break a sweat, honestly. We get back to the tower and Wedge starts crying furiously, but it's kind of hilarious because he's like somehow crying with the goggles on, just like gathering up all those tears. I don't know, there's no tears running down his face, so you know they're all caught up in there. Sid walks in with all of his protein goodness, and both Biggs and Wedge have a full-on panic attack seeing him. After we clean up all the whey powder that was spilled, we then head off to Revenant's Toll to prepare our assault on Castrum Sentry, where our beautiful golden boy is currently being held. I'm coming for you, Papameow. Chat makes a massive wall of naked gooblies, and we have to slide right past them to go check out a drainage pipe for the Castrum. And we fight off a bunch of bugs that, well, apparently we're just lying in wait there. Well, after we do this, we listen to an entire ass conversation through this well. Like, what kind of luck would it take for us to be here at the right time? Oh boy, tell me that this is not protected by the plot. Well, back in town, we speak to Alfie, who is becoming more tolerable as the story goes on. I still don't necessarily like him, but I don't hate him as much. Sid and him asked me to go read a crystal, which I think is kind of prejudiced, just because I have a crystal like embedded into my body and soul because of Crystal Mommy doesn't mean that I know everything about crystals. I mean, he's right, but it's still hurtful. Well, we now have to learn how to salute like an Imperial, which this guy confirms in the text that he knows how to do it. But I should go and watch how they do it over by the Castrum, which, like, why do you hate me? I mean, it works. Yeah, I learned how to do it, but I have to kill like 7 people to learn a simple gesture that, like, you could have taught me and saved these guys' lives. I mean, make that make sense to me. We get back and the guy's like, nice. Now get back to where you just were to gather up their gear. And it's like, you could have told me. I killed those 7 guys and I could have just gathered their gear then. But it would like knock it all out in one swing. But no, you guys really just like making us run, don't you? Well, we slice up about 4 to 5 of these guys, and I contemplate the amount of bodies that I've gathered in my travels. Remember, they're all just bad guys. We are the good guys. They are the bad guys. We get to gear out with the blacksmith, who is ridiculously jacked, as well as very well educated with these reading glasses. Sir, I don't think your outfit is OSHA approved. Like, I'm 95% sure that's a violation. They give us this cutscene and come back to Caffeinated Dad enjoying a fire, and then the fit blacksmith hands us nothing. And we also are socially distancing. This is kind of hilarious. Like, how is there's nothing in his hands, and then he is still too far away from us to actually make contact. Well, it's time to test out the suit, and I know that you guys don't like this, but this is about as close as you guys are going to get for the helmet to come off. The helmet stays on. You can see the stash, but it's not all the way off. Well, we talked to this garlic bread centurion to trick him into coming closer so we can steal his shit. Damn, we sound like a rival drug lord. So we get back to our weightlifting buddy and smoke signal the garlic bread waiters outside to visit our table. We call in like 5 patrols of soldiers, and like again, I'm literally killing hundreds of these people on the journey, just like, whoops, we're doing it for a good reason. Whoops, killing everyone. Well, the real mission was to get the Magitech armor suit so that we can gain entry to the cache. Biggs throws Wedge up like a foul ball, and here we go. Back at Revenant's Toll, Biggs and Wedge fix the Magitech armor up nicely, but there is a prop. There is a faulty piece. Now we have to go on this crazy long run to the Goldsmiths Guild in Ulda to get that piece. And we talk to one of the goldsmiths, Serendipity, only to find out that Alphanope had already paid for the piece, and he said that a manservant was coming to get it. Look, I really just started to like you, and then you throw a wrench at me like this. What a jerk. Back at the workshop, Square Enix reads my mind on what exactly I'm thinking and saying, and then Wedge gives the Magitech armor a good beatdown for it to work. Pulled the old Fonzie move. Outside by the crystals, we are trying to put the Magitech armor to good use. And what's pretty cool is that the armor suit is like alive, and it's like a legit living creature, which I think is an interesting thing to say the least. But the armor doesn't feel welcome to the team. She needed me to give her a big hug to feel accepted. You know, same? Big shows up at surprising speed to tell us that our garlic bread order is ready. They zoom in on Sid, and he literally gives them the "I'ma fuck you up" look. Then they zoom in on Caffeinated Dad's face, only to see the mustache exploding out of the helmet. Well, Sid hilariously presses a button, but the animation it doesn't look right. It looks unnatural. Now the garlic bread soldiers are all on their own. And then a wave of fear washes over them. After a swift and brutal decapitation, Maggie, as she is named, is now on our side, the Magitech armor suit. She feels a part of the team. Really? Like, I've been killing these dudes all afternoon. Like, and this is what got you? Back at the hall, we talked to an Alamigo guy who was helping us with our salute, only to hear one of the most tragic, worst backstories I have ever heard. We find out that his mom and his sister were captured by garlic bread soldiers early on in his life, only to be taken advantage of. And when they had the opportunity, they both jumped off a cliff to get away from the soldiers. He basically lost all sense of life and has been plotting his revenge on the garlic bread empire forever. Damn, Final Fantasy, you dark. Well, we are all outside the cash drum ready to assault, with Biggs, Wedge, and of course Sid and I. Sid tells us that Reverse Pants and British Cat Lady went off on their own mission objectives. We then enter the base and get this vicious cutscene of Livia beating the ever-loving shit out of Minfilia, which probably at this point she is regretting not having like good armor like we suggested. I mean, I'm just saying, she's like getting backhanded, kicked. She's getting the business. No, it probably would have been a little bit better if you had some armor on. I'm just saying. One soldier says, "Yes, milady," with all the mightiest of hat tipping. And then we enter into the castrum. We blend in the best we can with the Imperial soldiers, but we talked to this one soldier who was like straight up in love with Tartaru. Like, for him being an evil Empire guy, he's a massive softie. And he's like trying everything he can to get in with that girl. And all I will say is physics. That is it. We get into the inner courtyard area and we have eyes on target. Papameow, our boy, our gent, he's well alive. Also, uber dangerous here. Tartaru peeks her head out to see Wedge on Maggie, and she kind of shies away. Wedge is in full-on man mode to save his lady now. All I will say is, understandable. That makes more sense. The soldiers catch wind that one of their patrols is missing, and everyone needs to be on our toes. And as we walk in, this Rogadan gives us the biggest O-face. This made me crack the hell up. A quick fight ensues as we go to fight for the freedom of our friends. Tartaru runs up, and then we get our full encompassing story as Papameow is now safe. We can leave. Meow also makes note that Thancred is missing. I hope that doesn't come back to bite us. We get a cutscene of Livia confronted by Yida and Y'shtola, getting ready to lay down the biggest beat up that she has ever had. Then some Imperial garlic bread soldiers show up and ruin the assassination attempt, because let's call it what it is. The ladies have to run away, but not after an awesome quick combo by Yida to dance over top the White Power Ranger. More soldiers come in to stop us, and then Wedge goes full on superhero mode and charges into them, killing anything that moves because he's trying to rescue his girl, which, hey, you know what? Mad respect. I like it. Wedge, you're getting up there. I like you, buddy. They send me, Meow, and Boomerang over to deal with the enemies. Well, apparently, I can't kill this Magitech Vanguard because it is protected by a nearby shield generator, which I then spend 5 minutes of real time to find and destroy. Like, where the hell was this thing? Oh, I find it far away under some enclave. Tedious. Tedious for tedium's sake. Well, we get 2 more Vanguards, and they both have shield markers on them. This was a bit obnoxious to me, I'm not gonna lie. Let's just kill one and call it, guys. Well, we fight off the rest of the mobs, and then we get this cutscene. We are all cornered by a cliff. Reverse Pants, Y'shtola, and Wedge are still missing. The soldier says, "Kill all but the leader." Then the British cat lady jumps in to save us with her magic bubble. But I have to point this out. All of those soldiers had full intention of spraying and praying everyone. Like, they were going to murk everyone here without hesitation. The guy was like, "Save the leader," which would either be me or Minfilia. Nope, they were just murking everyone and saying it was an accident. Well, Reverse Pants jumps in and starts bashing away at all of the enemies with like some really satisfying combat. I was impressed by this. Papameow gives her a ton of sass for being super slow on arrival, and then Yida tries to say, "Hey, relax, dude." And then Meow turns around and hits this charging soldier with Curse of "Back the f off." Well, more soldiers start appearing, and Wedge dropped the Magitech armor to survive. And I have to note, the voice actors for Bix and Wedge were not exactly how I thought they were. Let me correct that.
You ditched your Magitech armor. Fool of a Lalafell!
Excuse me. She's all yours if you think you can do any better.
Biggs was not how I thought he was going to sound. Wedge was exactly on par. Well, Maggie starts jumping around and causes a distraction. Then Sid treats our ears like a drive-through speaker and screams in them to tell us to jump off after the count of 5. Oh wait, he was down there to catch us. I do have to point it out there that we have like an awning on the side of the airship, so it doesn't necessarily make sense. Like, wouldn't we just like bounce off into our doom or slide? Anyway, nice. We fly away and all things work out the way that we had hoped. Right? Wrong. As we are flying high in the sky, we see Gaius monologuing and a stray laser beam fires at us. It turns out that the Ultima weapon has heat-seeking lasers. Nice. Sid finally has an angry "damn you Gaius" moment. Then we see an Askian sitting next to the Black Wolf, who was apparently an overlord, as pointed out by Aquanaut. And again, this relationship makes sense with Laha Bread sitting next to the Garlic Bread Empire. Well, he removes his hood only to reveal that it is Thancred. Our buddy Thancred has been an enemy this whole time. What the hell? This caught me completely off guard, and everyone is like shocked, and Alphino goes into his whole, "I can't believe this happened to me. This, what, this doesn't make any sense." Well, again, I mean, let's put it together. We haven't seen Thancred in like a very long time. He knew where to send the Garlic Bread soldiers. Kind of makes sense, right? This is setting the stage for a hell of a finale. So let's talk about this leg of the journey. So we get to see the build up before our rescuing of our dear Scion buddies, and of course the most important one being Papameow. And basically this whole leg of the journey was, what the hell are we going to do about this ultimate weapon? This part of the journey felt like it was nothing but a reunion and a recharge, only to get thrown off right at the very end by the reveal that Laha Bread was actually Thancred this whole time. Like, I'm still shook about this reveal, and this is not something I was expecting. However, saying that, this is Final Fantasy XIV. Nothing is ever truly as you expect, and that's something that I've learned about playing this game. What I've loved the most about this part was the actual dialogue. Even though it had many positive overtones and reasons to feel joyful, it still had the looming threat kind of feel to it. Like, despite whatever we do, here we still had to rescue the scions, and, you know, we had to get our friends back, but the ultimate weapon is floating in the background, knowing full well we were going to have to fight it. We're going to have to deal with that at some point. It was great to have a number of different interesting quest dialogues, especially finding out more about the relationship between Biggs, Wedge, and Sid, paired with the Alamigo survivor whose whole family jumped for it. That was a twist that I wasn't quite expecting, but that one actually, that stuck with me. It was especially exciting at the end on the escape to see the reunion cutscene of everyone back together, but again, that was short-lived with the reveal of Thancred. Now, I have already finished Base: The Realm Reborn if you followed me on stream, so I already know what happens to finish this story, but this part definitely had me shook, and I had a whole week between streams, between this and then the finale of A Realm Reborn. So, Thancred? Really? Our Barry White K-pop band member was an Askian this whole time? Sweet mother of plot twist, indeed. Well, if you missed the last episode of The Journey, where I took down Gerudo and was introduced to the most powerful spell in Final Fantasy XIV, which is called Gun, you can click this video here to watch it. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.